Homeschooling multiple kids, including a baby and a toddler, felt a whole lot like spinning plates that I couldn't keep from crashing. Over time, I built a system that keeps everybody learning, the little ones happy, and the day flowing smoothly for the most part. Today, I'm going to walk you through our day and explain some of the systems behind it, not just so that you can see it, but so that you can be inspired and maybe pull some ideas to build a system that fits your own home. First, let me show you how we start our mornings in a way that sets the tone for the whole day. For us in our home, it's really important that we start our days with the Lord. And so my children will usually grab their Bibles, and sometimes I'll let them have a piece of fruit or something to help them wake up. But they'll join me in the living room and spend about 15 minutes in the Word and in prayer. And I'm doing the same thing alongside them. Our 3-year-old will usually open a book and just look at books quietly, and the baby will just play on the floor, drink some milk, something quiet. Right after that, they go straight to their morning routine. And that's just where they get ready, they make their bed, they brush their teeth, brush their hair. And of course, I'm helping the little ones get ready for the day while the others are getting their morning routine done. I also have our kids tidy their room before the day starts. Just feel like that's a great way to begin the day and set the tone for the day. If you wanted to add something like this to your morning, this is your morning anchor. It's basically an activity or a group of activities that starts the day the same way every single day, and it cues your children's brains for the school routine that's coming up next. Your anchor could look a little differently depending on your family's needs, but the important thing is that there's some predictability and it's just a way to ease into the day calmly. Once the morning anchor is done, I do something that might seem a little bit backwards to some, but quite honestly, I think it is a game changer for focus. By the way, I'm Lauren, a homeschooling mom of 5, and I help Christian homemakers build systems and routines from the ground up that actually stick because they're built for you. If that sounds like something you need, go ahead and like and subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss my weekly videos. Also, if you would like some guidance creating rhythms like this for your home, grab my free training below. It walks you step by step through building a system that you can actually stick with. Now let's move into the part of our morning that might surprise people because it happens before breakfast. What we do is that we jump straight into math. The purpose of this is just to front load the subject that takes the highest mental energy and to just go ahead and knock that out for the day. While I'm cooking breakfast, the kids are right next to me at the kitchen table, so it's not hard for me to walk over if they have a question. So if you want to give this a try, and some subjects are rougher than others, you could always pick something like math, like I do, or writing, or whatever seems most challenging for your kiddos. It's sometimes nice just to knock that out first thing, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. Right after that, we move into one of my favorite hidden learning times where everybody's mouths are full, but their brains are still working. When we're all sitting around the table and my kids are eating their breakfast, I do their memory work for the day. While their mouths are full, obviously they can't really recite at that point. I'll usually eat my breakfast pretty quick, and then I will read to them the proverb of the day and a short devotional. By that time, they're pretty much a lot of the way through the breakfast, and so we'll start our memory work. We like to combine the classical and Charlotte Mason model of education. So if you're familiar with that at all, then you know that the early years are really important for memorizing facts. We'll take that time to memorize scripture. We do catechism. We do the timeline song from Classical Conversations. And then we do the hymn of the month from Happy Hymnody, which I can link that down below. They're great. It's a free resource. We've done it for several years, and I've really loved it. If you've watched any of my other videos, I talk often about the concept of habit stacking, which is from Atomic Habits. It's where you pair a consistent routine like eating with habits that you're wanting to incorporate into your day. As you're planning your homeschool year, you can think through, are there any light, repeatable activities that you can do around the table? Because I kid you not, this is just a really easy way to knock out a few things while everybody's eating. Especially if you're somebody that likes Charlotte Mason, then do some of the reading around the table. So it's just a great time to capitalize on everybody's mouths being full and listening. After everybody pitches in for breakfast cleanup, I found that adding one simple step here completely changes how the day goes, especially for active kids. We've kind of toyed with this throughout the years. I will send the kids outside and get some wiggles out before they come in, but it's never really been super consistent. So this year, I'm going to kind of make it more structured. And also last year, I didn't really like how I just felt like the littles got the short end of the stick a little bit. So I'm going to take the opportunity that after breakfast cleanup, the older kids are going to do a short workout. I found an account on YouTube that I can also link that down below if I can remember. So the kids are going to spend some time doing that YouTube workout while I take that time to sit with our toddler and baby and fill their tanks a little bit, maybe read them some books or do some training, just have some intentional time with the little ones before our school day starts. Not only are we going to do this, but there will be little short breaks of recess or run around for a few minutes in between subjects. But I think that at least starting out with this is going to be really helpful. If you wanted to incorporate this into your day, you could use some music and let them have a little dance party. You can send them outside and they could just go run around and play. Or if you wanted it to be a little bit more structured and maybe they just needed to stretch, our kids last year took turns leading stretch breaks. So they had a little ABC stretching form that they looked at where a child would look at it and say, A for alligator or something. I can't remember what all their stretches were, but basically they would lead the other kids in stretching and they really enjoyed that. Once everyone's gotten the wiggles out, then we get started on the bulk of the schoolwork. This is our second learning block. Our first learning block, again, was math before breakfast. And this is our second learning block where we will do language arts, our history, Bible, and literature. And then, yeah. So this is the first time that we've ever done sunlight. Historically, I've just kind of pieced things together and ran with that, did my own lesson planning and all of that. But I wanted to give a go at simplifying and seeing how I like pre-planned lessons. So we'll see how it goes. But this year, I didn't have to do a whole lot of lesson planning. Sunlight did it all for me. So I'm just opening and going. But in the second learning block for our kiddos, it works well to have a set amount of time to do language arts. And in our curriculum, they have work that I will do with them, and then they have some independent work. So I'll work with one child while the other two are doing some of that independent work and then just take turns. In the meantime, the little children are doing some other activities, and I'm actually going to talk about that in a little bit. After language arts is finished, I'll send my kiddos outside and they'll go have a little recess for about 15 minutes while I grade. And then we'll all come back inside and do our history, Bible, and literature. For Sunlight, they group all of those together because those are their couch subjects. So they have their table subjects, which is basically bookwork at the table. And then they have their couch subjects where you're all together as a family and reading aloud to your children and reading them living books. So we transition to the living room. My kids will color and I'll read through the different read alouds that are for that day. Having a learning block like this is basically batching your work. This is where you're grouping similar tasks together for efficiency and to have a simple rhythm. So depending on the kinds of subjects that you're doing, the curriculum, the ages of your kids, it's going to look different for every household. But quite honestly, I really love how Sunlight groups their stuff. Even if you don't use Sunlight, you could be thinking, are there subjects that you can do together on the living room floor with your kiddos? And are there subjects that you guys can split up and do at the kitchen table all at one time? Batching things like that together and then also having breaks peppered throughout where needed just helps the day go smoother. The reason that this feels so doable is because I plan in layers. I talk through with my husband what we're wanting to do overall, big picture with our curriculum for the year. And then based on our decisions for curriculum for that year, I map out our weekly to-dos. Again, for this year, we are using Sunlight, so this was a little easier for me this year, but I still do have to think through what we're doing and how our days are supposed to look. So that's where our daily rhythms come in. And I pretty much use a time blocking method for this. I have our breakfast block, I have our, first learning block, our second learning block, and then our lunch block. I'm very aware that those are the blocks that I have to work in. And I basically take the task that I know I need to do each day and I just plop it into a block that makes the most sense. That way, I'm not reinventing the wheel each morning and my children know what to expect. By lunchtime, the bulk of our work is done and we do shift gears, but I still like to sneak a little bit of learning into our mealtime. At breakfast, we're doing our memory work and proverb of the day, and at lunch, I'm doing science read alouds. I've just found that when their mouths are full, there's just overall better listening. And again, this is another anchored habit stack where I'm taking a very common thing that we do every day and I'm tacking some learning on top of that. This makes sure it gets done and it does it in a way where I'm not having to fight for their attention. If you wanted to incorporate some learning into your meal times, you could be doing audio stories if you needed to eat too, you could be doing some discussion questions for some of the things that you read earlier. Of course, all of this only works because we have a plan for our youngest two. So let me show you how I can keep our baby and our toddler engaged so that I can focus on helping the older kiddos learn. As of right now, our baby's 16 months. He still takes that first nap and he naps really well in that first nap. So I know that that's going to be dropped soon, but that definitely makes the mornings a whole lot more simple. Whenever he does drop that first nap, baby will sit in my lap while I'm sitting at the table with the kiddos. I'll give him a little activity to do in his high chair so that he can be at the table with everybody. They usually really like that. They feel like they're a part of it. If he's getting fidgety and just wants to go play, I have a bunch of little baby toys he can play in the living room or just play around our feet quietly. And usually he's pretty fine. If he's not fine, again, he just comes and sits in my lap and I have a little book or something for him. It doesn't always go perfectly, but that's definitely super helpful. And for our 3-year-old, he loves doing school with us at the table. So while the kids are doing their table work, he has a little workbook that he can use to trace basic numbers and letters and things like that. Or I have special little activities that are reserved only for school time. So it's extra special whenever he gets to play with those. So example, we can do a letter board where he can practice with letters, or we have a geometric board. What else do we have? We have several little active counting bears. He loves that one. But basically, having those special activities during school just makes it special and it keeps him occupied. Some other things that he might do are sit on the couch and listen to an audiobook that I get from the library, or just look at a bunch of library books, and he loves that. Usually, that's enough to keep him happy and entertained and learning, quite honestly, right alongside us. This is what I like to call planned containment. It's where you're preparing activities and boundaries ahead of time so that the little ones can stay near, but they're not constantly interrupting. And of course, they do interrupt, and there are things that you have to tend to. That's just real life. But having a plan like this in place really does help the day go a whole lot smoother. So even if you have mostly little children, if you were just rotating activities and keeping them engaged, that can really help as you're attending to your older kiddos. So that is how our day goes. But again, there are some big picture principles that I think can really help your whole system go smoothly no matter your homeschool style. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Again, one, anchor your day with consistent wake up times and mealtime learning. It just helps the whole day go smoother, in my opinion. Number two, use movement for smoother transitions, especially for small children who have a whole lot of energy. Even if it's just a small stretch break or they run outside for 5-10 minutes, it really helps their mind stay engaged when they're able to let some of that energy out. 3, batch similar tasks to keep momentum. And 4, make some plans for your little so that they can be a part of the day and it can go a lot smoother. Again, there are interruptions, it does happen, but making a plan ahead of time really does help. And like I said earlier, if you can figure out a way in your rhythm to fill your tanks before you start focusing on the bigger kids, I've found that that really helps the day as well. And then 5, layer your planning. Go from the big picture year to how you want your weeks to look to how you want your daily rhythms to look. And make sure that they are realistic and that you leave plenty of margin for interruptions and the normal daily life that happens. Don't pack it so full that you're stressed and your kiddos are stressed. Remember, this is a time to not only teach your children and to pour into them, but to invest in relationships and build connection and tie those heartstrings. If you want help building rhythms that bring peace and structure to your home and help you love your role as a homemaker and a mother, keep an eye out. My free masterclass is coming out soon. In the meantime, grab my free mini training down below to help get you started. You'll not only take your first step toward a more ordered and peaceful home, but you'll be the first to know when that masterclass comes out. If you found value in this video today, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.